Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we will be going over 1987's Dolls.
Yeah.
Ever been afraid of a storm? Think everything will be all right in the morning?
Suppose there isn't a morning.
Tonight, in this storm, in this house, you will discover something you've never been afraid of before.
They're alive, aren't they?
Dolls. They want to play with you. Dolls.
Pleasant dreams.
Oh, the 80s. They're so wonderful with their wonderful movies and wonderful beginning of things.
Yeah.
Because this kind of you had Chucky and you had Charles Play, you had Dolls.
Yep.
Dolly Dearest came out in 91.
So they were all kind of around the same time.
Yeah, so there's, this, I don't know if it's maybe like a childhood thing of a fear of like the doll coming to life. I mean, I was given so many porcelain dolls when I was growing up, but I actually loved them. It wasn't until later that I thought, when I got older, that I thought, oh, they're kind of creepy.
Well, I think, too, a lot of it in the 80s was when they finally had the technology to do creepy dolls well. Because there was a famous Twilight Zone episode where the doll is, talking Tina, and it's like, I don't like you.
Oh, yeah, well, the dad totally deserved it, though. He was an asshole.
But, the doll didn't really do anything. It was just laying around and tripping people and that, because they didn't really have the technology to make it walk around and do that. And that movie with Anthony Hopkins, where he has a ventriloquist dummy, you don't really see the dummy doing anything in that either. But, it's killing people.
Yeah.
So they finally came up with all the stop motion and everything in the 80s, where they had the ability to go do that. So that's why I think we had a sudden, herd of them all of a sudden.
And we were discussing that it actually took like a year after production ended.
Yeah, they actually, after they finished the main photography, it took another year to do all the effects with the dolls. In the meantime, while they were doing the doll effects, they filmed an entire another movie in the same location. They filmed From Beyond.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different kind of feel of a movie there.
Yeah, that movie. I don't know how much slime they used for that movie, but I'm guessing all of it. All the slime available in Hollywood was used for that movie.
Ew, gross.
Can you just imagine they go into the drugstore and go, we're going to need 40 gallons of KY.
That's nasty.
Yeah, but it was a fun movie though.
Yeah, well, it was. It's one of my... I just recently saw it for the first time last year, but it's definitely on my top 10 of weird movies.
Yeah, in terms of Lovecraft stuff, it's up there.
I didn't even know how to really categorize that because it's so from beyond.
Yeah, it's in its own category.
Also another Stuart Gordon film, obviously.
Yep.
And produced by, The Dolls has a kind of like a funny story. I always say things are funny when they turn out not to be funny.
Yeah.
Charles Band and Brian Usna, butthole guy, as we discussed in a previous...
He's got some issues, Brian Usna. Just watch Society and you'll see he has issues.
Yeah, or Necronomicon, where you might see some weird butthole action.
There's a lot of sphincters in that.
Yeah, we did cover that in the Necronomicon episode, if you haven't checked that one out. But they kind of started Full Moon together. And this kind of like kicked off their thing when they went off and did Puppet Master.
Yep.
So we got kind of like Puppet Master from Dolls,
Yeah.
which, I mean, Puppet Master, those dolls look creepy. These were not so much trying to look creepy as if they were just already dolls like that you would see in a store.
Yeah, they were just the ones that when you see in the store, you think it's looking at you, even though it might not be.
It's just glass eyes.
Yeah, they're kind of moving around.
And then they put those like synthetic lashes on them.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, some of them have like the blinky eyes.
No.
Yeah, what you didn't? So you didn't want that? I was gonna get one for Christmas for the baby.
Yeah, that's fine. They can stay in the room with the baby as long as the door's locked all the time.
Well, it might land up on the stairs. Wink, wink.
Oh no.
So this film has such a has like a dream sequence. Well, she's awake, but kind of like a dream sequence, like imaginary opening to it. This family is driving around in Europe. They're looking for a place to stay.
They get stuck in the mud, so, like you do, they just start headed for the nearest house to break into it and stay.
I don't think that's how that goes, but that's literally how it goes. And is her stepmom, the dad, and the little girl. And stepmom's frustrated. She doesn't want this kid lagging around. She's over for the summer to spend time with her dad because they have like shared custody, the mom and him. And she's carrying around with this teddy bear, and she like throws a teddy bear into like the bushes. And then the next like scene, you see this teddy bear, and he's like 7 feet tall, and he's coming out, and then he's like going towards the mom and the stepmom and the dad. And then he starts transforming into an actual like crazed like Cujo, like he got rabies bear.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you ever seen The Prophecy?
No, I have not.
It's a crazy movie about a strange bear going after everybody. So that's why he kind of looked like the Prophecy bear.
Okay. Weird. That we might have to... Well, is Christopher Walken in that movie?
No, that's the other one.
Okay. I always think, when I hear that, I always think about Christopher Walken. And I don't want to see the movie because he's just creepy looking. Anywho... Yeah, so there's a great sequence with this bear attacking the family, not the little girl, obviously, and it's all a dream. Oh, so they don't really get ripped to shreds, which would have been, the ending of the whole movie.
Yeah, the movie been pretty short then. That's just a little girl roaming around England.
So they break through, the basement of these people's house, and it happens to be an elderly couple that live in the middle of nowhere, and they, the husband is a doll maker.
And the wife, they don't say, she's just a housewife, but she has got the crazy eyes.
Yeah, she definitely has crazy eyes, and she has like Gibson hair, and she's wearing like old timey like clothes. It's really weird. But the scene, since they had filmed the movie that we just spoke about, From Beyond, that scene in the kitchen when they're all eating. In both films, you notice that's the kitchen from Beyond. Like,
yeah, there's a big scene in From Beyond where they're cooking up chicken and biscuits in the kitchen. And it's like, oh, okay, that's definitely the same place.
And yeah, the tile and everything. So it's kind of like off-putting to the eye if you really have seen like From Beyond plenty of times, and you can like place. You're like, this is weird. This is like literally the same place where like...
Oh, this is the basement where they had the control thing and Jeffrey Combs had to fight the giant worm. Yeah, that happened in that movie.
Yeah, see the movie. You haven't seen the movie. We may or may not cover it in a future episode. But let's go to our favorite scenes in the film. I have to say that in this kitchen scene, it's raining outside, and the family is like, they're eating like goulash. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it looked like green split pea soup maybe.
I don't know, it looked disgusting. And but beggars can't be choosers, so they're eating the food, and then burst in like this crazy looking girl who's like new wave mixed with like, what was the other?
Yeah, they look like one of them's dressed like Madonna in the 80s, and the other one's dressed like the girl version of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, very strange. They burst in.
Along with the guy who picked him up, who is like a dead ringer for Sean Astin. He looks like Sean Astin does now.
Actually, yes, that's very true.
And he was out driving around in the middle of the countryside and just happened to pick up two hitchhikers. And just like the other people, they were like, hey, there's a house up here. Let's just go bust into it and stay.
And they just bust in with no regard for anything. And they go, and one of the girls goes straight for the goulash. And she's just eating it like it's the best fucking thing ever. Like with the spoon, not even putting it in a plate. She's eating it out of the pot.
Yeah.
And I was like mind blown. I'm like, okay, why is no one mad at this situation?
Anyone came into my house right now that I didn't know, they just opened the door and walked in and started eating out of the pot, they'd be stabbed. Like,
Big
what
time.
are you doing? And in Florida, that's not even illegal. We could just go ahead and finish cooking them. That would be it.
Well, this will come into play later on. And when we like discuss why that happened, like why they let that happen, because they were kind of like, I want to say needed, but it needed to happen. They let it happen, so to speak.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, there's 6 people in the house that are staying. The two hitchhiker girls, Ralph, the other guy that, helped the girls out. And then we have the daughter, the stepmom, and the dad. They're all sleeping kind of like spread out through this home, 2-story home. And every room has like creepy dolls in it.
Yeah. And every room is huge. Every room is like a small house.
Yeah, you're like, okay, this is like the largest room I've seen for anyone. Like, I never even had a room that large growing up.
And everything is like, really nice, old hardwood on the floors, the walls, everything.
There is no fucking IKEA in this whole house. This is all like Victorian-esque, like old country English furniture.
Yeah, and like you said, all of them filled with creepy dolls.
And of course, the 2 hitchhiker girls, they only got in the car with the dude because they plan to rob him. And now they plan to rob the house that they just broke into. And they're trying to go and, one stayed behind in the bedroom while the other one tries to go and rob the guy. But in her way of robbing, she kind of like sees a room and decides, I'm going to check this out to see if there are any valuables I need to put in my makeshift pillowcase thievery kit. And lo and behold is the first kill.
Yep. And it's pretty good. She gets I love where the dolls trip her up. They do the old cut the Achilles tendon thing. She falls down, they're grabbing her by the arms and legs and getting her the old heave-ho right into the wall repeatedly.
Yeah, there's like a goof in that scene where she smashes her face, but then they pull back, and either she has way too much blood than she should have, or she doesn't have any blood. It's like one of those, but you notice that there's something not right. Like it's not consistent with how many times they have smashed her face. But I do like that scene because the dolls, they don't really show, it's kind of like Jaws, they don't really show the dolls doing it.
Yeah,
it's all suggested because you saw the dolls and you saw them like they follow her with their eyes throughout the room as she's going from place to place to see what is worthy of her taking, and you kind of don't really see them right off the bat. She actually probably gets the worst, I would say, of the whole killing thing, because she's the one that they keep alive for a long time. They kind of like torture her.
Yeah, they kept her for a while.
I think because she just had such malintentions.
Yeah.
The other one kind of just got it fast. The other friend, when she gets it, which I think is your favorite.
Yeah, that's the one I like, where she runs in. At first, you're thinking, the first thought is, these are little dolls. Why wouldn't you just kick the shit out of them and move on? And they show her doing that. She's smashing them with her belt. She's kicking them. And you see when they smash them open, they've got little skulls, they're little people inside there. They all have little, dried out, look like prune faces.
Yeah, it's really gross.
And she's doing pretty good until she runs into the group of little soldier dolls. They're dressed up like the old British soldiers. And they have guns that work. And they take her down pretty quick with them.
Yeah, they do. I'm like, first of all, how were their bullets small enough to fit in these wooden little guns? Because that's not a thing, but they made it a thing. Well, he's a doll maker, so I guess he makes whatever he
The
wants
doll
to make.
maker, and spoiler alert, he's also a warlock.
Wow, that was a big spoiler alert, big time. But yes, they're witches.
So yeah, that's how this all works.
And that's why the dolls come alive, because they make them come alive, and why they have we find out later on why, which we're not going to disclose that as of right now, but that why they do have some visceral, some like innards in them. But the whole, what would you think would be like, I guess the whole moral of the story is kind of like a you have mentioned like a Hansel and Gretel, kind of like it's a morality tale.
Yeah, they're out there in the middle of the woods, and the people who are good, that just show up and stay in the house, don't bother anything, don't steal anything, they walk away fine. The people who are trying to steal everything, cause problems, or just generally bad people, they get ripped to pieces by the dolls.
Yeah, they do get ripped to pieces, and they totally deserve it because they really are terrible people. The stepmom is very self-involved. She can give 3 Fs about her stepdaughter. The dad is a terrible dad because he only thinks about himself. He could care less about the stepmom too. He's just like, oh yeah, whatever, and he just wants her for, obvious reasons, which is played by Stuart Gordon's wife.
Yeah.
That, the stepmom, and she's wearing like this like turban headband thing. I forgot the name of it. It's like a turban kind of. That's like really popular right now. Like some people are wearing out in the streets, the ladies, and it does not look good. It's not a good look for her. It's actually a really weird choice, but maybe they wanted to make the audience think that they were like of money.
Yeah, she kind of has the Cruella de Vil thing going.
Yeah, she does. Also, Cruella de Vil mixed with like Grey Gardens, if you know what I'm talking about out there, guys. It was very Grey Garden-y. Terrible. Just really terrible people. And, obviously the 2 thieves. Then you got poor Ralph. He's, cutie little pie, has the soul of a child, childlike. And, and of course, obviously you have the little girl who actually did like one other thing, like Poltergeist 2. And then she disappeared and became like
a criminal defense attorney.
Yeah, so that's what happens when you go and get chased after dolls.
Yeah, they traumatize you, and which from what I read online, the thing that traumatized her most was the bear, which I don't blame her. That thing's scary.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's actually probably one of my favorite scenes from any doll related movie. Because it's just so unique. Like you don't really, I've never seen it used again, to be honest. And I think this is the one that actually has the most realism when it comes to the dolls, because we do have people that fight back.
Yeah.
As opposed to others that are just like, oh my God, I'm getting chased by a doll, but AKA it's also a small person running around in a mask.
Yeah.
And whatever. But I don't know, man. I would have to say that my favorite kill scene, I love the bear scene, but that was imaginary. It was a dream sequence scene, so I can't really say that one. I'm gonna say the dad scene. So I mean, spoiler, per usual. The dad, he really gets it. He, this whole time he doesn't believe his daughter. The daughter actually sees the murder of the first girl. And she goes and she tells Ralph. Ralph, goes investigating and believes her because her slippers are like covered in blood. And they go investigating, and, they don't really find her. And now it's like, oh, this weird thing, like, what are you doing with my daughter kind of thing? You're like an older guy, and here you are hanging out with an 8-year-old in the freaking dark, in a strange house, and you're a stranger, and that doesn't go well. But the dad doesn't believe the daughter at all, and he could care less about her. He's glad that she's not going to be in their room. They actually gave her another room, like, in this first floor by herself, and she's surrounded by dolls, and she definitely is totally neglected by her dad. So later on, fast forward, we have the dad, and he breaks this doll that Mr. Punch, that was given to her by the owner of the home, the doll maker, and he totally like smashes it, and there is the reveal of that they're warlock. He's a warlock and she's a witch, and what their intentions are, and like that they do this to like people that are bad. And he slowly starts transforming into Mr. Punch, and it's a great transformation scene.
Yeah. And then he's fully Mr. Punch, and he's wearing his fancy new pajamas.
Oh yeah, because he was wearing like these black silk pajamas, which that scene actually, like when he's trying to get it on with the wife who BTW is already dead in the bed. Dead in the Bed, that's my new band name. She's dead in the bed, and he like goes and like is all cuddly up on her. The scene grossed me out because one, she's dead, and he's like putting like his, you know, private parts all up, pressing up against her. He's trying to get her into the mood, and then he's like, "Ooh, I smell." Why did you get in the bed already wearing pajamas? By the way, he's already wearing pajamas. I guess Shad was like, well, because he was running around before, like, with the daughter, like, beforehand. He was, like, running all over the house. I'm like, he wasn't, like, it wasn't, like, a marathon. Like, it was a 500 degrees outside. It's like, for Christ's sake, it's just, how did he get that smelly? But, yeah, he's too smelly, and he goes to take a shower, and then he comes back with, like, silky-ass black pajamas.
It's like black and gold. They're like black on one side and gold on the other. Kind of like a weird pattern.
It looked like he was gonna go into like the ring of like some Las Vegas show. You know, he's gonna go fight somebody when they take off like their robe and whatnot. It's like super shiny, like it's sand, so it's like super shiny material. But yeah, he gets turned into Mr. Punch, and I didn't know who Mr. Punch was. I had no idea there was like a whole history behind that until Shad told me.
Yeah, that was why he gave him, when the warlock gives her the doll, it's like, oh, Mr. Punch and Judy. Because there was a whole, like, they used to do a whole traveling puppet show with Punch and Judy where, strangely enough, Mr. Punch was always abusing Judy. He was always beating her up and slapping her around.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Why was that even a thing?
You know. Well, it's like the cartoons, like where they're always smacking each other around and that in the cartoons. In the early days, no one paid any attention to it.
Yeah. So
same thing with that. You know, Mr. Punch was always beating up Judy and everybody was just laughing at it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Not. So yeah, Judy obviously is a little girl. Her name is Judy. Both that was like a little play on like
little wordplay there, yeah.
Wordplay and a little hint for the makers of the film, for the writer and stuff, because I had no idea who the heck that was. That's a generational thing. But Mr. Punch, I would not want on Mr. Punch. He was so creepy with that long face. His like gesture, like gestures freak me out.
He's kind of just like the court jester, and he kind of has the head like Mac Tonight from McDonald's. Remember?
Yes.
He has that. And the guy from Nightbreed, too.
Oh, yeah. Creepy AF.
He has that kind of face going.
Don't like it. Who has the Mr. Punch now? Who has these dolls? I mean, is this like in some, like, museum of dolls? Like, that's...
Probably that John Carl Buechler that did all the effects. He probably had all of them, because most of those guys kept all their stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he recently passed away.
Yeah, just earlier this year. But he did a great job on the effects of this. And he did a good job on all of his stuff. He did the effects for the Friday the 13th movie, the one where we first get the zombie Jason that comes back from the lake. Mm-hmm. And he did all the Hatchet movies and several others. So he did a great job on effects throughout his career.
I really like the effects on this movie. I was watching it, and it wasn't my first time watching it. I mean, we had seen the film before. It actually, we forgot to mention at the beginning of our podcast, this was actually chosen by someone. We had done
we did a little poll to see what you would like to listen to, and this one was selected by one of our listeners, Pam.
Thanks, Pam. It was a great suggestion.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get some more.
Yes, definitely. If you want us to cover anything, let us know. We will cover it. I know if you go through our podcasts, you're going to find a lot of, 70s and 80s. We don't really do a lot of modern per se. I mean, we do when it's like something new coming out if we get the chance. But we kind of, I don't know, we kind of like to watch what's available on like Vudu and Tubi and Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of new stuff. And it's like, it's new. People don't, I would want someone to enjoy or find one of the older, ones that maybe you might have mislooked or just haven't seen in a really long time.
Well, we like to find some of these because there's some of these that we've covered that's like, oh, I've never seen this one. I've seen it. I used to see it in the video stores all the time. I never got around to watching it. So now I'm finally going to do it.
Yeah. So I would give Dolls a 3 knives.
Me too. I would give it 3 knives.
Yeah, I think it's for like I like the morality tale. It kind of reminded me, the whole movie reminded me of like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Or I mean, a little gorier obviously, but it kind of had that same like nostalgic, like old storytelling feel, you know, like Amazing Stories kind of like that kind of feel to it, and the look of it too. I there are other movies I had mentioned before that are like doll related, like Dolly Dearest. That movie, I did not care for that movie at all. That was actually really terrible. This one, it's not, you know, it's not an Academy Award winning movie, but it's entertaining and the kills are really good.
Yeah.
And the work done by the dolls, the stop motion, is pretty good too. So that's why I would give it 3 knives. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.